Hi. Hello. How are you? I'm well. Thank you for asking. Um, my name is Amanda of the Manda Made It podcast. I'm coming to you from Westerly, Rhode Island, here in the U.S., where I live with my two daughters, Calliope and Ayla Rose, and my husband, AJ. Um, this is a knitting, crochet, and spinning podcast primarily. There may be other crafty things that occur. Not going to discount it. Um, so yeah, that's what I do here. I share my current works, my finished works, and maybe what else I want to do. Uh, so I will also say there are times that I ramble on about sobriety, as I am now 3 years sober. So this is a trigger warning for you. If you have addiction issues or things of that nature, just be aware that there could be talk about that. I don't plan on it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So fair warning to anybody who may need a little bit of a warning about that. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna get right into my finished objects. It has been a couple of weeks since I've been here. Um, I honestly don't remember much about what I said in the last episode, because it's been a couple of weeks and mom life. We've had a loss in our family, and we had a little mini family vacation that had already been planned. So there's just been a lot going on, and I don't really remember what I talked about. So, finished objects. The first one is I just needed something quick and simple, and this yarn had been staring at me from my scrap basket. And it, like, my husband says I use this phrase a lot, but it was staring at me accusingly. It needed to be a hat. It wanted to be a hat. I don't know why. I love the color. So I made it. And it's very simple, uh, easy beginner beanie for everyone or family, everyone in the family, something like that. And it's a recipe hat based. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a recipe hat. It just gives you the basics. I don't know what kind of yarn it was. It was a label-less scrap that I've had in my stash for quite a while. I'll take out my hair, it'd be all messy. See all that? See, this is mom life. Mom life. But, put it on. It's a little loose, a little bit bigger than I would have liked. And I don't know what it is with me and ribbing, but I can't seem to make it tight enough, even if I go down a needle size. So I do believe I need to work on a even smaller needle for ribbing. But it does fit really well in terms of like where it fits on my head. So I was very pleased with it. And it's just I've had the same gray crocheted hat that I made probably, sorry, I'm shaking that, 3 or 4 years ago. Probably 4 years ago. And it's been my go-to because it's just kind of like I didn't pay attention to what I was doing. It was just like a kind of a ribbed crochet hat that I just did on the fly. And it was just my go-to. I really like it, and I still like it, but I wanted something different. So anyway, that's that. I'll take this off, fix my hair up. My next whip is, let me just say, y'all know about the mom bun, right? There we go. We're gonna pretend like we want to do a messy bun and like be cute with it. No, it's what it does. The next whip is, I did talk about this last time. Stand up and I'll show it. This was the Ballet wrap cardigan. And I made it for my daughter, who is 5 years old. And I did make it, I believe, in the 6-year-old size, which is silly. Children's sizes for patterns and clothes is just fucking stupid. Like, you know, you can take a 6-year-old that weighs like 40 pounds, and then you can take a 5-year-old that weighs like 50 pounds, and they just are different bodies, different everything. So anyway, I followed the schematics, looked at the measurements, and I was like, if I want her to be able to wear this again, I kind of knit it at a bigger gauge with a thicker yarn and a larger size. But it is the Ballet wrap cardigan from Yarnspirations. And now it is originally meant to have a wrap. And but you'll notice it does not. I did have my daughter try this on for size, and she wanted it done. Like, no more messing around. So I basically just seamed each of the wrap sides together. So like this continues down here and it is seamed. And I did the same thing on the other side. So it's this weird like quadruple thickness in the front. The neckline isn't finished. Cuffs aren't finished, but she's wearing it. So that's what's important to me, is that she wears it, because this is the first successful item that I have made for her that she's happy about, other than socks. And you know, those don't last long, but more on that in a little bit. So anyway, oh, the yarn on this was again like old stash yarn. This was this is the dark blue is dark blue tweed is from Craft Smart. I'm looking at my notes because I did that today. Craft Smart Value Tweed in navy, and then the light blue is Nicole Studio Classic in Aquamarine Spec. The navy I think is available at Michael's. The light blue Aquamarine Spec was something I got at AC Moore while they were closing. And it is actually what I had knit my very first sweater out of during the last around the time that I had my baby in over a year ago now. But those are my two whips, or I mean my two FOs. Those are the things I finished. I do have several whips. I will start with, this is actually a half finished object. Some would call it a hoe. Hoes in different area codes. Family friendly here. So these are the Spiral No Heel Socks by La Maison Really. I don't know how to say it. There's a lot of L's and I's in there. So I will try to link it below. But these are, I saw these on the Noble Character Crafts podcast several months ago. She'd made them for her daughter because, her daughter is a little older than mine, but is still in the growing part where like you make them things and they just grow out of them. These socks, however, do not have a heel. And so that's why they look all funky, and they're in a spiral, hence the name. And actually I should get a sock blocker. Just break my wheel while I'm at it. So, all right. So the whole thing with these, I'll try to wrestle it onto a sock blocker. They don't have a heel. But the spiral, essentially spiral ribbing, allows it to fit your foot. And because there's no heel, it will fit for longer. So, and it's a free pattern. I think you can find it on Ravelry. And it is essentially just like I don't know what the technical term for it is, but it's basically a staggered 6-stitch broken ribbon repeat or something. But anyway, I cast on 54 stitches for my daughter. I think her foot is like 7 inches long. And I tried these on her without the cuff on, and she said that they were long enough. So I did a 20 round cuff, and the pattern calls for an increase bind off, which I had never done before. It was a little fiddly to start, but they have a link to directions in the pattern, and it's good. It's super stretchy, like super stretchy. No holding it back at all. And yeah, so I've got one done. The next one I'm gonna hopefully finish tonight, mostly. If not tonight, tomorrow it'll be done, and then I can move on. But maybe I need to do another. You know what? I'll look at that later. But yes, that is that. These were kind of fun. I mean, they are fun. However, socks are typically my mindless knitting, and even just that little bit of like ribbing alternating made it less mindless. Like I had to pay attention to what I was doing more often, and I don't want to do that with my socks. Like I just want plain vanilla socks, and that's it. For those who don't know, plain vanilla just means like no texture, no pattern. So lesson learned that I will save the texture and patterns for other projects. Okay. Oh, and those socks are in Audine Wool's Cloud Sock in the colorway Honeymoon. Now my whips. The first one I'm going to talk about, I'm very excited. I'm really pleased with how this is coming out. This is the Classic by Espastrico. So it is a 1x1 twisted rib, like 4-inch. This is the free pattern. 4-inch turtleneck, top down raglan. Now the yarn that I have, I bought this. This is Knit Picks palette fingering in pumice twist. Now I bought this knowing I wanted to make something with mottled yarn, but not knowing what. So I just bought a 10-pack of it, and the yardage in that 10-pack, because I'm holding it doubled to get a DK kind of weight, is kind of like I could be playing Yarn Chicken if to finish the complete pattern, the exact dimensions that it says. So what I did is I split for the sleeves, and basically I finished off the 2 balls that I was holding together to knit the raglans and the turtleneck part, and I did. So that brought me probably a little bit about an inch below the sleeve split, and then I put that on hold, and I'm doing the sleeves because it's more important to me that the sleeves fit the length that I want. Like the body, I have a feeling will be fine either way. Like if it's a little bit cropped, that's okay. I don't want my sleeves cropped. Like I don't. Like I want this to be the sweatshirty, lovely, just throw this on whenever, be warm and cozy for next winter, because it's not going to be done before the spring here. I might be able to wear it like once or twice. This was actually my winter solstice cast on. So my goal is to have it done by the spring equinox. So I can cast something else on for that. But I really am enjoying it. The palette yarn, like I got it and I was like, oh, I don't know, this isn't that soft, but I don't need really soft yarn, and I've tried this on several times for fit and to check things, and I have not minded this turtleneck around my neck. It's not tight or anything, and the yarn feels good, so I'm really enjoying it. I am knitting this on my Chogu interchangeables. The body and the sleeves and stuff are done on a 7, so I think the The ribbing stuff is done on a 6, I think. I don't remember. I'd have to look at my notes to see what I did. But I'm very excited about it. It's coming out well. It feels kind of like my first big girl sweater. Like, I don't know. I'm just very pleased with it. My next whip is the Jomax shawl by Tyga Hilliard. I can't quite read my handwriting. And I'm doing this in the Bernat Plentiful. I talked about this last time because I wasn't sure if I didn't really like the yarn. I wasn't, like, something about it just wasn't working for me. And I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it on the needles. And I kind of had put it away for a little while. Now, I started this when we were down in Delaware visiting my mother-in-law's, and my younger daughter, she's just over a year, does not sleep well, not at home. So I started this, and I was tired because I wasn't getting good sleep. Kids and vacations, man. Or it's not a vacation when when you go somewhere with kids. It's a visit. Let's be real here. But anyway, I decided to persevere and just keep going with it because I do like this yarn. I like the colorway. The yarn is a bitch to work with. It's supposed to be some sort of mohair equivalent, I think, but it's acrylic for the most part. But I do like the colors, and the Jomax is, again, she has these super simple shawls that use, bigger yarn weights, and they're easily customizable for whatever you have. So I can't stretch this all the way out because I didn't put it on bigger needles, but I am pleased with this. Like, I do want a really big yet kind of thin shawl that I can just, like, do that thing where you cross it over the front of you and tie it in back. So I'm hoping that this will do that. Because I do like the colors, and I've had this in my stash. I would not buy it now, but I did buy it at one point. And in the spirit of using up my stash, I know, like, knit what you like, knit what you love. But there was a part of me at one point that really loved this. And so I am actually enjoying it now. It is my, my evening time, do a row or two, be fine with it. The colorway is blood orange. So anyway, I am actually enjoying it now, no matter my trepidation in last week's, or the last episode. The last working project I have is I started a Scrappy Blanket, just like everybody else and their mother. Scrappy Granny Stripe. Because, again, my Scrappy baskets were just yelling at me because I had them sitting out. There's a lot of not a lot of yarn in there, but enough that, like, I could have done things with it. I didn't want to. A lot of it is yarn that I don't really enjoy anymore. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to see it get put to good use, which, I know that people have all kinds of feelings on that kind of stuff, and that's fine. For me personally, I didn't want to see it not get to use. So I decided to do the Granny Stripe blanket that everybody and their mother's doing. I saw Kay of Crazy Sock Ladies doing it, and Natalie of Knitting Natties doing it. I'm sure Noble Character Crafts, and I'm sure, like, everybody is doing. Oh, I think the Naughty Knitwits are doing it, or one of them is. But anyway, I'm doing mine with basically, like, combining yarns to make I think it's like an 8 wraps per inch, which is roughly an Aran weight yarn. Because I do have some chunky yarns in there, and I don't want to separate and do, like, a fingering weight blanket and a chunky weight blanket, because sometimes I have blankets all over the place. And I don't need that many blankets. So I think I cast on 209 stitches because I believe it's supposed to be a multiple of 3 plus 3 or something. I don't know. It's a free pattern somewhere on Ravelry that goes to a blog post, and we can follow it up just fine. But this is it. It's not going to be gorgeous. It's going to be a mishmash of colors. I am not color planning necessarily. My only thought was to keep the cooler tones kind of on one side and work my way up to the warmer tones. We're just going to see what happens, really, because it's a Scrappy Blanket, and who gives a fuck? It's going to be my, like, in my craft room blanket for when I need my alone time. I had a blankie. So those are my whips, and I'm really happy with them. I've wanted to do a Scrappy Blanket for a while. I did one for my daughter before she was born in November of 2020, and it came out really good. I did use mostly fingering to DK weight in that, and it was really cute, and it's nice. I like it. So, and I used up yarns I had for since like 2006 in that one. But it's a baby blanket, small. So anyway, that's that. I have made a couple of acquisitions, but not ones that I'm not allowed to make. So I am in Westerly, Rhode Island, and I am close-ish to a town, Niantic, Connecticut, and they have the Book Barn there. The Book Barn is a huge used bookstore. They actually have 3 locations, and they're just stacked full of books. And I finally had some time to myself a couple weeks ago, so I could go there. And I spent like an hour going through their fiber art section of books, and I picked up a couple of gems that I'm really, really pleased to have. The first one, I don't even know if this is a gem. I was just like, I just want to read it. And it's A History of Hand Knitting by Richard Rutt. Again, I am going down this history rabbit hole. I find it so fascinating. I find it so interesting. And I just, find it, fascinating is the word that I have for it. And I don't know why. I don't know why I find it fascinating. I love it, though. I really, really freaking love it. Following in the vein of history, I did find this book. Also, Patterns for Guernseys, Jerseys, and Errands by Gladys Thompson. And, hand in hand with the history of hand knitting and spinning and things of that, is also, you can find interest in your own family history. Everybody's going to have a connection to the fiber arts somewhere in their history, because every freaking person in this world needed clothes and there wasn't machines to make it. So, it's like this collective history that we have that we totally don't even pay attention to. And I just find it so interesting. And part of my family history, because I did an Ancestry DNA thing like everybody does. Not everybody. A lot of people do. It was a gift. I did it. And most of my family history, DNA history, goes back to the British Isles. And these are fishermen sweaters from the British Isles. And this was a revised edition from 1971. I believe it was originally written in the early 1960s. But there's some history stuff in here. There's the patterns. There's the stuff. And I am just like look at these people. Like, they're great. Like, look at that. Like, look at those sweaters. And I'm going to try not to show like charts and directions and stuff. Although this book and this author are like so well known. But there's just like, these people didn't take, they're just wearing these fantastic, they're just wearing these fantastic sweaters, and fishermen, and there were herring girls who wore the sweaters too and made the sweaters. And I'm fascinated by it, and I really, really want to try to figure out this book basically has patterns that are location specific as much as they can be. There's Patrington and Withersea, Flamborough, Filey, Scarborough, Robin Hood's Bay, Brunswick Bay, Whitby, Staithe, Northumberland, Sheringham, Guernsey, Caister, Lincolnshire, Musselburgh. I mean, there's Scottish patterns, the Isles of Arran, Hebrides, all that stuff. I don't know where specifically my family might be from, but that doesn't mean I can't find out. And I would really, really want to knit a sweater that would pertain to that area. So I do not have yarn for that project, and I still have a lot of personal kind of genealogical research to do. I have no idea where to start with that other than Ancestry. So I'll be figuring that out. But I did join a couple of the Guernsey, Jersey, Arran type groups on Ravelry, and I did contact Frangipani, I think I'm saying that right, which is a UK, I think it's a UK based company that makes the type of yarn specifically called for these types of sweaters, which is like a 5-ply sturdy yarn, and they will send a free color card anywhere in the world, so if you email them. So I did that, because I am not allowed to buy yarn, but I sure as shit can plan for this project. I'm gonna plan for it. So I'm really excited about this, and I don't know. It's so weird getting into a hobby like this, but I am excited for it. The next book I got was pretty much, I know I've heard of it, and I know that it is something that a lot of people reference, and that is Knitting from the Top by Barbara G. Walker. And this top-down sweater knitting was not always the thing, I guess. But I when you hear people talk about go-to resources, Barbara G. Walker is one of the people, along with Elizabeth Zimmerman, that their names come up, and they're at the forefront of people you need to read, or not need to, but that would be beneficial to have in your resource library. So I picked that up, and I have started perusing it, but haven't dived that deep into it. I just don't have a ton of time for reading, so I do kind of have to make decisions with my time. The next thing I picked up was the Vogue Knitting Stictionary, and this is the volume 1, Knit and Purl. I just I do really well with learning from books. It's how I learned to knit and to crochet, was from books. This was pre-YouTube, pre-Ravelry. And even when I'm looking online, I look for an article with pictures rather than going to a video. And I've explained why before, and I'll mention briefly again. I'm hearing impaired, and trying to read captions, follow the hand movements, and understand what's happening can be a little disjointed for me. So I can do it. I obviously do learn from videos too, but I thought it would be really, really fun to just have a Stictionary and check out different options and learn some stuff. And I actually found something in here that I was like, that might be fun to do. So I don't know who I am, but I swatched it. I did a tiny little, I'm still in the process of it, tiny little swatch just to see how it worked. And it was really cool to just like take a half an hour and figure it out rather than feeling paralyzed. Like, what project can I put this into? How do I work with this? Just fucking make a swatch, see how it goes. That's okay. You can do that. I mean, Roxanne Richardson talks about the benefit. I mean, a lot of like really experienced knitters and spinners talk about swatching and sampling, and there's a reason why they do. It's because it's way fucking easier than just working on a project without having a clue of what you're doing and then being pissed at yourself because you screwed it up. So I really enjoyed that, and I can't wait to try doing that more with techniques and stitch patterns and just, learning in general some more. So that's kind of where I'm at, is like a lot of learning, a lot of clearing stash, and knitting for fun and enjoying myself and, all of that. And one more acquisition that did come. This I had ordered, I think, before Christmas from Straddle Creek Spins, and this is a cushioned spinning bowl. I don't remember what the wood is, but it's just it's super cute, and I have to tell you, I enjoy spinning so much more having a cushion underneath the bowl, because consistently when I try to do the bowl in my lap or in my leg, when I'm sitting on the couch, it just fizzles all over the place. I tried a tea saucer, a little espresso cup saucer, and the wooden bowl that I had ordered, and so far they just annoy the ever-loving shit out of me. So this has been great because I've finally been able to I could have at the whole time been able to feel like I could get back into my Jacob spin. I have now wound off 2 plying balls, which are upstairs, but still doing my Tibetan and my Russian spindle concurrently. I do not off the top of my head remember where these are from, but I will try to link them in the description box below. But I'm just having fun spinning. I'm only. I'll get to that in a minute. When I ordered this from Straddle Creek, it was so cute. Like, I want to say it because they make them to order, so it came probably like 6 weeks after I ordered it. But it came with this little, floofy thing of fiber that came. Sorry, there's like a little letter in here, which was sweet. It's got a handwritten note, and it says the roving is from Psalm 23 Farm on Etsy. I don't know what Psalm 23 is. Probably don't really care, but either way, like, it was just really nice. It's a nice little extra, and it's so cute because, like, you get a certificate of authenticity, like, it tells you the title of the work, the spin cushion. It's part of the Radiance collection, certificate number, the materials. It's a sugar maple bowl with wood dyes and hand sewn beanbag. But yeah, so Straddle Creek Spins on Etsy. They have a lot of great stuff, and I will be purchasing more for sure when when I'm allowed to. And by allowed to, I mean that's my own like yarn, tool, fiber diet this year. So let me look at my notes. Oh, so it is February. Today is actually February 5th. It's Saturday. I don't know when this is going to go up. I'm going to try to do some notes and stuff. But Roxanne Richardson is the person that I heard about this from first, which is Finish It February. And the concept is that if you have a bunch of unfinished objects or whips or whatever, that you go through and you kind of like Marie Kondo that shit. like, you go through and you figure out what you actually want to continue working on, what you want to frog, what you may need to fix, things like that. I am not a person that tends to have like so many projects going at once that I would forget about something. That's just not in my MO, or my comfort zone. So it's basically been Fix It February for me. And I started with my very first pair of socks that I made for myself. I've already done one and ripped it out. Or this is a Frog It, rather. Frog It February for me. So when I made these, I knew I was making DK socks. I knew there would probably be bed socks, and I was okay with that. I did the Rye by Tin Can Knits, which is, a very, like, Tin Can Knits puts out fantastic patterns for beginners, and I wholly approve of utilizing their resources and their free patterns to learn. I didn't know shit about shit when I did this. I didn't understand. I really didn't even understand what working with wool yarn meant. Like the main body of a sock is done in my very first hand dyed skein of yarn that I had ever bought, indie dyed yarn, from Ken Yarns. He is based in Rhode Island, and this was the basic witch colorway. I wanted to support somebody local, found his thing, saw his shop. So I did that, and I was like, ooh, contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs looks fun. Let's do that. I'll do this other DK I have. Well, this other DK I have is non-superwash. It's felted like crazy because I threw these in the wash. Like the cuff doesn't barely stretch anymore. And they were bed socks, but I would get up in the morning and wear them around. So I wore holes because this was so felted. And, so they're a fucking mess. And I kept thinking I would replace and fix the toes and the heels and the cuffs because the rest of the yarn's pretty beat up. But then I was like, that's not a skill I care about learning right now. I just kind of want to get these like out of my mend basket, if you will, and reclaim the yarn and be done with it. So that's what I did. I cut out the heel, toes, and cuffs, unwound the rest of the yarn, put it in a ball. I'll do that. It's going to go back into stash, and it'll go into something. I don't know what. It'll go into something, and I'm okay with that. They were a good lesson. It's amazing the shit that you learn in a year or two about a hobby, and that you don't even know you didn't know until you look back at past projects and you're just like, oh, for example, this. So this yarn is terrible. The yarn itself isn't terrible. It is, it was like a Karen, who was it? I don't know. Karen and Pantone mix, and the colorway was mushroom grayish. I love the colorway. The yarn itself is a like wool bamboo something else polyamide blend. It's stretchy, it's soft, it's great. The put-ups were fucking stupid. The the put-ups, the hank, I don't even know what you would call this put-up. It was designed to look like a row of knit stitches. The bullshit was that each of these knit stitches was a separate little mini hank in this larger hank of 100 grams. So there would have been 5 or 6 of these little mini hanks with this slippery ass yarn that you had to wind up separately and then like try to get it to stay together, not together. I mean, not together, like try to work it in and stuff. This thing, and of course I'm not going to be able to find it now. Like this, like it just, it's so slippery and stretchy. Like the sweater itself, the cardigan itself, which I forget the name of, it's one of those basic like huge square ones with like a dolman, and then you add on the sleeves. It is crochet. You know, it's very definitely like smaller people than me look really cute in them. I just look like a freaking babushka. But it's super squishy and comfortable, and it is now my spinning sweater for when I'm down in my cold basement, because I don't like wearing this out. It looks terrible. Like you can see ends popping out. You see holes where the where I worked the yarn in together just isn't staying. I did put a lot of time into this in terms of like, it wasn't hard or anything at all. It's just like it used up like almost 1,000 yards of yarn. But it's a disappointment. Knowing what I know now, I would never make this project with this yarn. I don't know. I probably would have just tossed this yarn, or not tossed it. I would have donated it or given it to somebody else to fucking deal with, because it was so stupid. it was it was just like, I understand the marketing behind it, and it in theory made sense, but the 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 execution was terrible. I would not recommend using this yarn to anyone for anything. Not because the yarn itself is terrible, but the put up is dumb. And they probably don't even do it anymore. I don't know. Anyway, where was I? What was I talking about? Oh, yes. So again, this is the Frogget February for me. So this is a shawl called the Folio by Amy Gunderson. This was a knit crate. This was the pattern that came with a knit crate that I got. It's something in Delphinium is the color. I don't remember the yarn name, but I'm gonna frog it. It's too small. I didn't do a gauge swatch when I made this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it in terms of like, I know I made mistakes in the lace, but I don't care. I don't think, I wouldn't even be able to tell you where the mistakes are, honestly. But like, I don't wear it. It's too small. It doesn't sit right. It doesn't, and I think it's too small because of my error, not because of anything that's wrong with the pattern. I blocked the ever-loving shit out of it to try to get it to the correct dimensions, and I couldn't do it. So I definitely did not. I definitely did something wrong. But the yarn is still good, and I don't have a problem with ripping out something. I've already ripped out several things that were finished and done because they weren't right. There was something wrong with them. Like I didn't do a good job, I didn't wear them for whatever reason. So this is another thing to get ripped out, and I'm okay with that. I think that's a really good lesson. It's freeing to know that you can make something and you can choose to take it back if you want, because it's yours and you're the one who invested the time and the effort and the money into it. So you can choose to do what you want with it. You can gift it, you can donate it, you can rip it out and reuse the yarn for something else. I don't think that there's a damn thing wrong with that. I know other people have different ideas, and that's fine. That is totally, totally fine. I do agree, just throwing stuff away sometimes can be a little like unnecessary. You can donate that shit to somebody, like a church, a school, or whatever. Like there's somebody who could use it, whatever it might be. So that's kind of how I feel about that. As long as there's nothing like actually wrong with the yarn. I mean, don't be giving some piss soaked, moth bitten stuff away to charity, because that's terrible. But if it's perfectly good yarn, you just don't like it, donate it or give it to a preschool or for crafts or like a church or whatever. Because there's no need to throw it in the garbage. And the last thing I just wanted to talk about really quick was there were a couple of really great spinning episode type things on YouTube this week. Andrea Mowry of reareneeknits, she has this year really gotten into spinning after being having like dabbled in it over a couple of years, and she had a really wonderful conversation on her channel with Jillian Moreno, who is the author of Yarnitecture, which is Yarnitecture, A Knitter's Guide to Spinning, building exactly the yarn you want. This is fantastic to read. Andrea reareneeknits, Andrea Mowry, and Jillian Moreno both kind of have that kind of like enjoy what you're doing mentality, and don't make it work. And there is no should have to. There may be theories behind what you're doing. There may be theories behind what works and what doesn't, and all of that. But it's an art. It can be. As a hobbyist, it's an art. It is a creative undertaking and outlet, and there's zero reason to treat it like a drudge. And I just love that philosophy. Anyway, the conversation was great. It is on Andrea Mowry's YouTube channel. I will link it below. Another conversation I enjoyed listening to was Jennifer Beamer and Evie. That's the Expertly Dyed Art by Science, and Jillian Eve, two YouTubers who are primarily spinning channels. And they had a conversation and a collaboration. They've had two actually. One was featured on Evie's channel a month or two ago, and then this one just aired on Jennifer's channel this week. And it's just interesting to listen to a couple of people who know what they're talking about discussing things, and their different personalities, and it's just there's been some good content this week, which is like so weird to say, but when I'm a stay-at-home mom. The knit night that I was going to is back on Zoom, and I don't like doing Zoom calls because, my hearing just makes it difficult to understand what people are saying. And it's awkward. It's at night. I don't wanna, unless I'm going somewhere. Like if I'm at home and it's after 5 o'clock, I don't want to do shit other than knit and not talk to anybody. So I just it's just been good to watch some stuff where people are collaborating and having conversations. It makes me want to be involved and have conversations with people as well. I am leery of the verbal video stuff, things because of my hearing, but that doesn't mean I can't try. See if I can make it work. But those were enjoyable. I'll link them below. Hopefully you find them and enjoy them as well. Life stuff. We experienced a loss in my family last week. My Aunt Jill, she was 60. She passed on Tuesday. Lyme disease related issues that I'm not going to go into, but it wasn't a surprise, but it isn't any easier to deal with the death of somebody that you love dearly, and that was a big part of your childhood and growing up. And she was so creative. Like you walk into her house, and she and her husband are both, and were both artists, and he is still, and they were so creative, and just for the sake of creating, like they didn't make money on it, didn't try to make money at it. They just had that natural creative energy where they would just make stuff, and these collages and artwork, like paintings, and she would grow gourds and do gourd art, and you know, it's so creative, and it was unfortunate seeing her lose so much of that over the past several years because of Lyme disease and the progression of it and the issues that she ended up having from it. Um, you know, memory loss and just inability to move her body, and um, oh gosh, she was so creative. She just made beautiful things. I will also touch on briefly the the idea that sobriety, when you enter into sobriety and you've been in it for a while, the idea that you are always able to do it easily, um, is a fallacy. There will be things that will come up that you don't expect. And, you know, I've been through a number of things that I didn't expect since being sober. And, you know, but the death of a loved one is one that I hadn't been through. And, um, you know, you just want to escape the you don't want to feel the way that you feel. Even if you know you're going to end up feeling that way, you want it to go away. And that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is that feeling of community and mourning with your family, and that closeness where you want to be a part of the cheers and you want to be a part of the celebration of that person. And you can be like, nobody's telling you that you're not just because you don't have a drink in your hand to cheers with. Like, that is not at all what happened, or like you're still a part of that, and I was still a part of that. um but it can be a very discomforting or discordant, I don't even know, it's just an odd feeling, um that I, you know, wasn't necessarily prepared for. Because I mean, who is, like, you don't know how you're going to react to something like that. um so anyway, I just, if you're somebody who is on that road, on that path of sobriety, and getting in, I mean, it can be any situation, anything that makes you go, oh shit, I don't know how to handle this. I where like I have a fallback mechanism for things that make me uncomfortable, and I haven't been this uncomfortable in a while, and I don't know how to deal with this. You know, you just make the decision that is right for you, and it will be okay. It will all be okay. Um, so I am going to leave you with that. Uh, I hope that this finds you well. I hope that getting into February is bringing you good news, good tidings, and, you know, spring is coming. Whatever that means. Well, spring is coming in the Northern Hemisphere. Whatever that means for you. Uh, you know, I hope it works out. I hope it is working well for you. One thing I think everybody should remember is that whatever you are choosing to do in your life, whether it's through sobriety or with your crafting or your health or whatever, you are worthy of making decisions for that better you. You are worthy of taking control of yourself and your life, whether it's your crafting life or your whatever, as I already said a couple times. You're worthy of it. I promise you. You are worthy of the choices that you make. And I hope you enjoy the next couple weeks until I see you again. Happy knitting, happy spinning. keep reminding yourself that you're worthy. Bye.